And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Charles Payne. This is Making Money. All right, by now, you know, last night, President Trump posted a letter stating that he is firing Fed Governor Lisa Cook. Now, you can see this is just part of the letter. He talked about, at a minimum, the conduct at issue exhibits a sort of gross negligence in financial transactions that call into question your competence and trustworthiness as a financial regulator. This, of course, all with the mortgage fraud accusations. Meanwhile, the news has stirred up a hornet's nest of finger pointing and criticism about political overreach and, of course, Fed independence. Now, you might not be surprised to learn that the same folks and the media outlets who are so outraged at this very moment were instrumental and cheered on the recent forced removal of 3 Fed officials, right? Remember, Senator Elizabeth Warren spearheaded the effort as she pressed the SEC to probe Fed insider trading. Going to take you back, September 2021, the impetus for all of this. Dallas Fed President Robert Kaplan, so he files a financial report, and in that report, you see where he mentions millions of dollars in trades. He did 32 individual trades, 5, they mentioned 5 fossil fuel companies. Of course, at that time, fossil fuels, you know, God forbid. Then there's Boston Fed president who had these real estate deals, which are on the screen here. These real estate investment deals. Now, of course, the timing was the problem because they were being bought just as the Fed began to buy mortgage-backed securities. Now, keep in mind, Rosengren and Kaplan both announced their resignation on September 27th. This is 2021. The next day, the Senate banking chair, Senator Sherrod Brown, he announced plans to introduce legislation to ban individual stock ownership by Federal Reserve officials. Now, keep in mind all the names and the players here. In October, later on October that year, Jay Powell, he initiated rules. Now, this is really, really critical. He initiated rules about trading or investing among Fed officials, and some saw this as sweeping moves seen helping Powell's chances to win a second term. He was playing up to the Biden administration. Meanwhile, just right after that, Richard Clarida, who, by the way, was a Trump appointee, discovered trading between $1 and $5 million out of bonds into stocks. Now, this was the day before Powell started to talk about economic responses to then COVID-19. Clarida eventually announced his resignation January 10th. It was effective on January 14th. All of this brings us to President Biden. He's got a chance now to stack the deck, the Federal Reserve deck, and he goes for it, right? He nominates Lisa Cook, Sarah Bloom Raskin. Of course, that's the wife of ultra liberal Jamie Raskin, and Philip Jefferson. Of course, the big headline was for Lisa Cook, the first black woman. And the seeds for this, by the way, they go back. They were planted by Elizabeth Warren. There was a heated confrontation to one of these hearings in 2015 between her and Janet Yellen. And Janet Yellen, she pressed her, right, about the lack of diversification or lack of diversity amongst Fed presidents. So in addition to all of this, Sherrod Brown began to push Cook as well. And again, he did the same sort of thing. He pushed and he blasted Republicans for stonewalling her confirmation, and they focused on race, the first black woman. In fact, he said, it's a disappointment that the Senate Republicans are exploiting the absence of our colleagues to stop a qualified black woman, the first African-American woman nominated to serve on the Federal Reserve Board. All of these moves make the sudden fear of Fed independence farcical, folks. I should also note that the Fed IG found no misconduct from any of those Fed officials who were forced to resign. And believe me, they were forced to resign. They were bludgeoned into resignation. But they also understood the gravity of the situation. And for the sake of the institution, they bowed out.